When I was growing up, I played in hardcore bands, hardcore punk bands, and I was a little suburban teenage punk rocker. And one of my favorite bands was the Sex Pistols. But by the time I got into the Sex Pistols, they'd been broken up for a long time. And then they did a reunion tour, and I went to go see the reunion tour, and it was so disconcerting because here's a band who had broken up long before I became interested in punk rock, and then I was standing watching them on stage, and it was flawless. Like, the music sounded great, and Johnny Rotten, aka Johnny Lydon, was just this amazing front person. And then afterwards, we all went out and got really drunk. So that experience of like seeing your heroes who you thought were dead, and it turns out they're not dead, they're alive and in the flesh, and then afterwards going out and drinking cheap beer with them, that was a good one. My goals when I was growing up were almost non-existent. My biggest goal as a musician was to maybe at some point play a show in New York City. It didn't matter if anyone showed up. It didn't matter if it was a big venue or small venue, just to be able to say that I'd played a concert in New York City, or to have DJ'd in New York City, and maybe, if I was really, really lucky, to at some point go to Europe and do a DJ gig. Beyond that, I didn't really have any goals. Maybe it's the product of growing up really poor, but I also, when I was growing up, most of the musicians who were my heroes were people who never achieved much commercially in terms of success. So I never thought of commercial success as being something worthy of pursuing. So it's very simple. I just wanted to make music, and maybe if I was really lucky, play a concert in New York City. My only goal as a musician is to try and make music that I love. I know that might sound reductionist and overly simple, but that's pretty much it. I mean, commercial success, it's interesting. Having commercial success, it's interesting to be part of that process, and especially because we live in a culture that's so fame-obsessed. So it's interesting to see it from both sides. But for me, the only virtue or the only value that commercial success has is it enables you to have an audience for your music. And so for me, commercial success is like a strategy to try and get more people to actually listen to the music. Like, commercial success is not an end in and of itself. Yeah, I'm not very good at chilling or resting or relaxing or taking a moment wherein I don't work. So as I'm finishing one album, I'm thinking of the other 4 albums I'd like to make, and myriad other projects I'd like to be working on. So I mean, I sort of envy the more well-adjusted musicians or writers or filmmakers who, when they finish one project, like, they take a month off and go to Bali and sit on the beach. So I think that's really healthy, to give your brain and your body a rest. But no, unfortunately, even as I'm finishing something, I'm already working on the next few things.